Hello everyone, in this video what we're going to be going over is if we're at this stage where we've got most of the face in there, bar the eyes and ears and nose and stuff, and we've got the back of the head to sort out and stuff, this is basically going on from there. I think this might overlap a little bit with another video, but I figured starting off from this position and then filling in rather than trying to get the same state it was in the other video. So, I've got my three images up here, the three windows. All I'm going to do straight away is just try and assess the mesh, assess possible edge flow. And I've gone over this in class, so I'll not kind of do it in the video, but it's going in there and trying to like eyeball in some of these edge flows. Remember that we've got one that can come around here from the eyes, round down to the back of the head and round there. Probably do that twice with these two. So we're going to bring them, we could, for instance, bring them down and then bring them across like that. That's going to take out 4 edges and only leave us with 6 left. And then we can probably get rid of other edges like that. That's one way we can deal with our edge flow. Another one is something that we'll do in the bottom of the chin here. So possibly bring something round and like that. Again, taking away those 2 edges and only sending 2 into the neck. But one of the first things I'd probably do is just to not combine, not merge or anything like that, but just extrude out the very back of the head and then snap the vertex to the neck. That way I'm completing that loop right there. I'm already saying, right, that edge loop, that face, that edge, whatever, is going to go to that point, and the same for the front. So I'm going to grab this, move it back, and again, snap that vertex to there. Snap that vertex to there. Cool. So yeah, like I said, I've kind of already pre-decided that this edge flow is going to go into the back of the neck, and this is going to go into the front of the neck. And I can decide what to do next. So it's pretty much the same stuff as I do with anything. I've got a new edge here. I've got a new edge here, so what I'm going to do is just split that in half, like that, and then just one more time either side, like that. I can decide what to do now. So I've got a little bit of a curvature to the back of my skull. I'm just going to add one edge to the throat here, like that. Okay, so at this point I'm deciding where to, or how to deal with these edge flows at the back of the skull. And I think what I'm going to do is do what I've done in class and bring 2 loops from the front of the head that come around to the back. I'm going to bring them round, and then I'm going to turn them into the back of the skull, which then sends them into themselves and then back over the top of the head. That way, killing 4 edges that only leave me 6 left, 6 behind. So, and I think I'm going to bring it down to this edge here. So, effectively what I'm looking for is this little star shape. And I'll grab these 2. Bring them down. So what this is here is basically an intersection between 2 edge loops. As you can see there, I've got this one coming in from the side of the head, which travels around to the back of the head, and I got this one coming from the front, travels around. It's almost like a bit of a junction or a corner. So I'm going to grab these 2, I'm going to just extrude them down. And then I'm going to extrude, and I'm going to bring them into here. So I'm missing some edge loops at the minute. I'm missing some edge loops there, or some places to send these edge loops. So if I just place one of them there, and another one there, that way I can now basically snap the vertex into that position. That then gives me a nice little edge loop that I can wrap down the back of the head, around, and I'm already kind of dictating what's going to go on in this area already. So it's just like when I did the strap that goes around the head, like that one. It's just like that. It's just like when I laid in these edge loops early on. Just like when I did this. And it's just like when I made the side of the head here. Exactly the same. So now Looking at what I've got left, I can see there that definitely I can just attach an edge there to complete that run. Like that. Like that. And you can see here that obviously I've got an end gun that I've produced there, so just fix that up. Just make sure that everything's fitting together. Like that. Beautiful. And as I'm working on just kind of rearranging, so that's the back of the head pretty much done. And then we just got this void and the side of the head to fill in. So that's quite easy to do, I reckon. So I'm looking here, I'm seeing, again, trying to piece together what I can do in future or where certain edges will lead to. And what I'm kind of seeing here is a possibility of I could definitely bridge between these 2 points like that. Then this edge will go down into the back of the neck. However, I am already going to have quite a lot of stuff going on in the back of the head here, so in the back of the bottom of the skull there. So what I'm going to do is just bevel this edge to make it 2, so then I can bridge, 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 like that instead. Filling in that space, like that. Hit 3 just to make sure we're looking good. Cool, so now that's kind of me sending an edge up into the back of the head there has stopped me from sending one to the back, into the lower neck. It just gives me a little bit more flexibility, because now this isn't then going to be heading downwards. It's not going to be adding more geometry in this area. I'm literally getting rid of that edge right there, and that's just going to be wrapping into the back of the ear. And then from there, just kind of try to piece together ahead of time. I can bridge from there to there, like that. Or even just add one edge in there. Bridge from there to there. Add that middle edge in there. So definitely seeing these two heading down. Like so. Then leaves it with that. Like that. And that fills up that area there. So then we've cut down the amount of topology we're sending to the back of the neck, or to the back of the, just into the neck, significantly. Because I've already controlled a bunch of those edges now. Which is good, and if I want to as well, I can just go in there with the sculpting tools, say like the relax tool. Whoa. There we go. Don't know, that was a bit of a graphical glitch there in my Maya. Yeah. Soften up that area a little bit. Like that. Cool. Now I'm going to jump to the front of the neck now. So I'm going to try and fill in this lower throat area. And again, what I'm looking at is just ways I can ways I can control the edges early on. So sending edges around into themselves that then go back up into the opposite side. I'm also looking at what's going on over here in the head, and then what's going on in here in the neck. So I've got 4 edges left in the neck. I've got more than 4 edges up here. So a lot of kind of pre-planning I can do at this stage. The one thing I did go over in class is just jumping and doing something straight away. So I'm going to take these 2 edges right here and the bottom of the jaw, and I'm just going to see. I'm not going to commit just yet, but I'm just going to see how it all works out if I was to just have this going into the side of the jaw. This makes sense to me because it's going round the head, well, basically down the side of the head into the neck and down. It seems like a pretty nice straight line. It also helps me separate this forward chunk of throat and this back chunk of neck. So yeah. Alright, so again, back with our multi-cut tool. So that's looking okay so far. Then we've got 1 edge over here and 1 edge over here to fill in. What I'm going to do is just basically complete the loop going around the neck there. So adding an edge loop in there and an edge loop back in there. That allows me just to bridge from there to there and then from there to there. Oop. Filling in that. So I'm already getting an idea about the edge loop in my neck there. And I can have a look at what's going on. So looking at this here, this isn't looking too bad. I've got 1 face here and then 3 faces here, 3 edges here. So that's not going to be too hard for me to actually fix up. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is another one of those things we've had going on all over the place where we're sending edges around into themselves. I'm seeing one here where I'm sending one from there, this edge here, around under the throat and then back into itself, which then leave me a quad left behind there. It might not work out as I'm thinking in my head, because I can't see it just yet. But what I'm going to do is just give it a go, just give it a try. So bridging from there to there, put an edge in there so I'm able to, like that. That gives me an angon, like that. But that's just brought down my number a little bit, so that's not bad. It's not the worst thing in the world. Now, what I don't want to do, I can see people being tempted to do, is doing something like a bridge there to there, and either just filling in that hole there and leave it alone, or redirecting the edges so the loop wraps round and then goes backwards into the head. And what I want to do is have this actually come forward, like that. And I think that might actually be the way to fix it. So just putting an edge in there is splitting this edge here. So if I put a vertex in the middle of this edge here, it turns this 3-sided shape into a 4-sided shape. So that is my fix for that section. So you can see, very, very easy. Just putting that little division in there helped me just add a little bit of information, helped me basically break everything up. So I've got a forward section and I had a back section. Now this might change as well. I might end up doing something where I'll need to change it later on. But for now, that's looking okay. Remember, it's not finished until we're actually properly finished. So I've got this back section to do now. Now I've got this loop coming in from the back of the neck here. It's wrapping around, and I'm kind of seeing that wrapping around and coming back over like that. Because then that'll get rid of that edge and I'll get rid of that edge. And then I'll just have these 3 go into the neck and the side of the jaw. So that might be okay to do. So just extrude that down. Or while I'm doing this as well, I'm always keeping an eye on my front and side view to see if anything's really going wrong, and panning around in my perspective view just to make sure, again, if anything's going wrong. Cool. So yeah, let's just see if I do this and this, it's doing a lot of stretching, which I'm not a massive fan of. This is a big stretched face here, but overall not the worst thing I could do. But I could also do, because we've already got a loop there, we've already got a loop around there. What I could also do is have this travel down into the jaw there. Again, I'm still getting rid of this edge. I'm not having this go into the neck. So that's definitely going to be starting there, but I can possibly send it in that direction. Like that. Into the front of the jaw. And for a long time with this, it will just be sitting there looking at your problem area, your area you need to solve, and just trying to pass out a fix. Now, some of this is going to be relatively easy to fix. One is going to be definitely just putting an extra loop in the back of the neck here, one extra loop, because I'm seeing this loop here going into the back of the neck. You can see there it's coming out the back of the neck, just sliding in there with an extra division there. So that's good. Nothing should be going into my neck now. But then I'm still left with a shape here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sided shape. Which is a relatively easy shape to fix. Because if I put a split in the middle of that 6, it'll turn into 2 8s or essentially 2 4s. But the shape itself isn't evenly distributed. I've got a cluster up here and then I've got a big open space here. So I'm in a bit of a predicament. So one thing I am kind of seeing in my head is sending this edge that's coming down here, carrying that on, and then for now, deliberately create a triangle right there. Because that'll give me an easy fix for this whole area. Like that. That's now a fixed area. It's all sorted except for this bit here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Although looking at this as well, I am kind of seeing this edge coming down like that. So this continuing on and coming into here. Like that. But I'm not going to do that because I've already kind of got it sorted out anyway. But you can see how just casually I did that then. Knowing that I can control Z back, knowing that I can just easily add edges in with a multi-cut tool. I'm not worrying too much. Because a lot of it is just taking a risk, seeing the puzzle in your mind's eye, sorting it out. And then we've just got this left behind here. So one very, very easy fix we can have for this one, very, very easy fix, is turning, I believe, these two edges and just beveling them. Now, see there, I had a concept in my head, didn't quite come through, didn't work out. So all I'm doing there is just beveling and seeing what appears. Oh, there we go. So right, okay. So there, again, experiment. This is why I keep going on in class. Why experimenting is incredibly good for this. I just beveled this one vertex here. Just beveled that one vertex. It creates this. It creates a bunch of n-gons and 2 quads. Now if I get rid, like this is only being an n-gon because of this vertex here on both sides. So you can see both of these vertex I've got moving there are creating an n-gon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I get rid of this, it turns into a quad, which helps this whole area work a little bit more. If I do that, it's problem solved. Nope, obviously I have to carry that around into the jar. And there we go. And that is a fully complete head, minus any, obviously, fixing up and regulating the edges, which is very easy for us to do. So I can just combine, merge that, come back in there, make sure object texture is turned on, and just start to regulate some of these edges. So it's, not as nasty, not as bumpy, not as unevenly distributed or any kind of like harsh edges or anything. Come in, smash them out a little bit. It's going to be very important around the jaw area, because the one thing that we can risk is either an underdeveloped jaw or an overdeveloped jaw. An underdeveloped jaw being just a very, very flat jaw, like with no shape to it. It's just a smooth transition from the back of someone's head to the neck. It's not really fun. An overdeveloped jaw is where our jaw is just super sharp. And obviously, we want Terry to be a little bit softer. Not so soft that she's a goo kind of character, but sharp enough that there's control in that jaw. So you can see that it's very, very basic. We can reread through the topology to see how I've done. So you can see there, that was where we started off at the very beginning, bringing those round into the back of the head, just by extruding down and extruding in. And then I brought some edges into the side of the head, connected in to the back of the skull, connected in to the front of the jaw, and then I took a gamble on two edges here that I brought down to the side of the neck, and then that left me with a little hole here, which had me, you can see here, just bringing in some edges and bring them around into themselves, which then go back up into the face. And back here was pretty simple. All I had to do was bring an edge to the back of the head from the ear, fill in that gap that was left behind, and then fill in the gap that was left behind there. And I can just combine it with the neck. Boom, merge it with the neck. Looking good. Looking very, very good. So we're well on our way for getting Terry finished now. The only thing that's left to do now is the nose, the eyes, and the ears, and the mouth, and the inside of the mouth, and stuff. So that's relatively easy. I'm just going to kick off by doing the ears. So I'll be back in a sec, and we'll start off with that. Okay, so finishing off the face, relatively easy. The problem area for this is going to be the nose. And say problem area, right? It's just the most difficult part of the face. The lips are pretty easy. The inside of the mouth is really easy. The inside of the eye, incredibly easy. The ear, relatively easy. Okay, so just like with everything, I'm going to split my head in half. Oh, make sure I've got that turned off. So let's cut that in half. Get my duplicate special back. Like that, cool. So I'm going to start off with the back of the eye. It's very, very simple. I'm just going to select the whole inside edge of the eye. And then I'm just going to extrude it back. And then extrude it in. And then close it off. That's as simple as it needs to get. Very, very simple. We're only doing that. We can leave that open if we want. But what that is saving us from is if our character is doing some very expressive eye movements with a lot of kind of movement and expression. If we have something where the eyes accidentally break, or well, it breaks surface, we don't want to see just into the back of the void of the character's head. So we make a little bit of an eye socket. Like I said, I don't have to do much. This will all be a flat colour anyway. So close it off. Boom, eyes done. Very cool. Now I'm going to do the head. Oh, sorry, not the head. I'm going to do the ears. And the ears are very, very, very simple to do. Very simple. Very similar to what I've just done. Then all I'm going to do is grab the inside loop of the ear, extrude it out, and then I'm just going to close this off. Now you can see here that we've got more edges at the front than we have at the back, so we've got a little bit of an issue there, but not a terrible one. All I'm going to do is just however I want to, or however I can do, just bridge and fill this area. So bridge that. Fill. How many edges have we got at the front? We've got 3 edges at the front. So add those 3 in there. Just get those filled in. And then this isn't a terrible thing to do what I'm doing here. Again, I'm making triangles, which isn't the greatest thing in the world. If I could, I wouldn't need to do this. But I don't really want to be adding any more edges in there just to justify having these edges up front. Okay, so we've got that shape in there. That's basically the shape of our ear. All I need to do now is add one edge in the middle, then make that fit the reference. And then I'm going to hit another edge there, another edge there. So you can see it's so similar to what we've done before. And this is me just getting the basic shape in there first, and then I'm going to refine it later on. Again, I can use stuff like soft light just to almost like massage it and sculpt it into place to get a bit of a better shape. But for the complexity of the geometry, that's all it really needs to be. I'm going to do one more edge just before it meets the ear, the head, sorry, so I can get a bit of that sharp, nice little crease there. But for now, I'm just going to bring this in, move around like that, which is looking good. Bring that edge in I was just talking about. Bring that edge in there. Then bring that in. That obviously gives me a bit of that cartoony little shape for the ear, which we all like. Now I just extruded it straight from the front like that. So, but if we look at that character in 3D, you can see that he looks okay, but the ears are a little bit funky. Now I'm going to grab the whole ear besides this edge here. I'm going to grab all of it besides that. And what that's going to do is just allow me to control that whole shape. So I'm going to rotate it backwards. I'm also going to thin it out a little bit. I'm going to rotate it backwards a little bit. Move it backwards a little bit. Just to give myself a bit of a better shape, a bit of a more realistic, more believable kind of angle to the ears. Remember that our ears are almost like radar dishes, so they peel back a little bit. And outside of doing any small like adjustments and stuff, again, that's pretty much it for the shape of the ear. We're not done with the ear just yet, so I'm doing some shape stuff there. Picking up our lovely transform constraint edge slide just to move some of these in, so the edge is in closer to the head. What I'm going to do is create the inside of the ear, so like where the helix is and the tragus and stuff. But I'm not going to make it like anatomically perfect. I'm going to do a little bit of cheating because I don't want to make all that for a character like this. I don't want to, or I don't need to make that whole stuff. It's going to be a very basic texture anyway. So what I'm going to do is do a little bit of a fun cheat. So I'm going to grab the whole inside of the ear like this. Grab all this. I'm just going to extrude it in. Oh, make sure I've got constraint edge slide turned off. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to extrude that in like that. So I'm just scaling it in, and then I'm going to extrude and push it back a little bit. You can see here that I've now made the inside of the ear. Now, what I've not done, what I'm not going to do is just leave it like this, because that's essentially just a hole in the ear. I'm going to make some triangles just at the front, just before we meet the ear around here. That'll give me a nice little slope or ramp that goes into my head. It's a little bit more believable, a little bit more stylistically appropriate. So, because I just don't want this really horrible shape in the ear. But that is very nice. So now we've got this nice little ramp that goes into the ear. Nice and subtle. We've got the inside of the ear crease, essentially. Like back here, we've got the inside of the ear where we can paint some manual detail in there. You know, we can do what we want. But other than that, that is the ear done. Again, like you can just do what I'm doing here. I'm just making some adjustments now, using the edge slide just to soften it out, regulate some of these edges because it's not super clean. Because obviously I'm not worrying too much about that during this video. But yeah, it doesn't take me long to just do some cleanup. There we go. And that is our ear. Outside of obviously cleaning up some of these funky shapes, like I've got this little indentation here that I can get rid of, we are done with the ear. He says. There we go. Done with the ear. So already, boom, you know, a lot of information in the head now. So I'm going to leave the mouth till last because depending on what's going to happen in my nose might determine me actually changing up my mouth a little bit. Now, because the mouth and the nose are in the center of the head, I'm going to just be very careful about moving any edges or vertexes from the middle if I do need to do anything. Because the last thing I want to do is go through, complete everything, and realise I've moved a bunch of vertexes away from the middle and I've got a hole in the head. So the nose is the nose can be simple, but the nose can also be quite hard, depending on how we approach it. Now, there are several different ways we can approach it. One way is actually to put a plane in the front of the nose, almost like the bulb of the nose, and then build out from that. One way I'm going to show you here now is just making essentially a disc that's going to be in the nostril position, and then building out from the nostril. It's going to need us doing some topology redirection again, so be prepared for that, and don't be afraid of doing anything like that as well, because that's just part and parcel of this job. Is sometimes you just need to reposition some stuff. So what I'm going to do, like I said, is just make a nice flat 6-sided disc or 8-sided. I'm going to make a nice low poly 6-sided disc. Bring out my cylinder, my subdivision axis to 2, 6. So nice and low poly, and then I'm going to delete everything but the front. Now this is going to go in my nostril position, so let's just grab this and let's just move it into position. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be in a pretty good position, and I'm going to be happy. Like that. And then dupe special. Boom. Cool. And in fact, well, I probably just combine this together. Dupe special that, so it's already part of the game. Cool. Right then, so yeah, this is our starting point. This is where I'm going to show you how to start off from. Now, I approach this the exact same way that I approach the other stuff. That is, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at my nostril, I'm seeing if I can see any faces that already look like they're facing each other to bridge. And I can already see 2 right there. So if you don't see that, you can easily just rotate it around. Again, low poly, it's 3D, so we've got a lot of controllability over it. And again, especially with the nose, it's not going to look perfect for a very long time. So just be patient and work through it, and then you'll find your nose will appear as you work on it. So yeah, I'm going to bridge these 2 together. So this edge here aligning with there, this edge here kind of aligns with there. There we are, add that in. And I can make any rearrangements of that if I want to. And the other one I'm going to do, now this is going to be a strange one. I'm going to take this edge here, I'm going to extrude that all the way up to the top. And well, it's not strange because we've done this before. I'm going to make my loop around my nose. So the same concept as I've used throughout the head so far, throughout the body, throughout our modeling. I'm already pre-making that edge flow, and I'm going to grab you. I'm just going to say, right, boom, that is in place. That's taking me to the ridge of my nose. Now this is, I'm not necessarily going to fill this bit in yet, because I don't necessarily know how I'm going to do anything else just yet. Just yet. This might also need me, like I did in class, adding in an extra loop in the face to give myself a little bit more information inside the nose. Excuse me. So now at this stage, I've just got to start working my way through, starting to kind of think about the geometry, think about where I could pull in some information. Again, rapid, right? If I know the shape of a nose, trying to kind of simulate that shape. One shape I do kind of want to simulate is the shape of the actual nostril itself. So if you look at diagrams of nostrils, it doesn't just wrap from the side of the nose up and over the top of your nose. It kind of wraps around from the outside of your nose, curls round, and then curls back round into the middle of your nose at the front. And I kind of want to get that shape, because that's going to be good for a character like Terry, who's got obviously the nose being quite a distinguishing feature, a distinctive feature on her face. So again, I'm just laying in some of this geometry. right at the beginning, just seeing if I can get that working. Always checking my 3D view. Trying to see if I can ever fill in the front of the nose while I'm at it. See, I'm making some judgment calls on some of the shapes because I'm not happy with what it's giving me, but then I can go in there very easily. Like this then, I was turning that, doing what I did like in the shirt and doing what I've done in the back of the head, and I'm just like manually redirecting these edge flow around. Do not worry if you absolutely cannot see a way of redirecting edge flows around. Give yourself a break, or give yourself a minute. It's something to train rather than something you just inherently get straight from the beginning. Okay, wrap that around there. So that should give me a bit of a better nostril shape now. Oops. Like that. That's wrapping around. That'll allow me to pull this out. Pull this out. So we've got a bit of an issue here, which I'm going to leave for now, because that just might need me kind of adding an extra edge or two, maybe. We don't know yet. So this one coming out of the nose here, this can definitely just wrap over the top of the nose. These ones coming out the top of the nostril, they're not the problem ones. The ones we've got to be thinking about are the ones coming around the underside of the nose and into the cheek, because they're going to be going into other places. But ones going into the nose at the top, they're really easily because they already exist. Well, they will just be heading into themselves. Cool. And that seems like a pretty easy fix to me, because all I need to do is start bridging these. However, as you can see, I'm down an edge on this side, and I'm up an edge on this side, so I can actually fill that in very easily. Like that. But you can see there, I'm down one. But it's a pretty cool thing we can do now with that. Because, just like with over here at the back of the head, where we brought the edges around, just like underneath the jaw, we can do some redirecting of edge flows. We can be a bit more manual about it. So, let me just fix this bit. So here in my head, I've seen an edge running around from my nose into my face. Now what I do not want to do, what I can't do, is just have that run over the top of my head, round down into my neck, because that's already been set up back here. So what I'm going to do is actually make a redirection. So I'm going to bring it up, and around my forehead is, I'm going to wrap it around and then bring it back. Very, very easy to do, very, very fun to do. So again, with my multi-cut tool, you can see that most of this is just the same tool. Multi-cut tool. And I'm going to hold shift while I'm placing in these points, because I want these to be in the middle of this surface for now. I might move them in a bit. So I'm working my way up the nose now. And about here, I'm going to wrap it round like that. You can see there now, goes up, and it should go around and then back down there. But obviously, with me just doing that there, I made a try, so 3-sided, and an end gun. And this is a 5-sided end gun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this face has got one less than I need, and this has got one more than I need. So if I put an edge from there to there, what I've just made is 3 quads. 1, 2, 3. But that's also developing a curve wrapping around like that. So you can see there, my redirection of edge flow is wrapped around, up, down, and into the nose. So they're not going anywhere. And then I can bridge and fill that area. Like that. Super awesome, super cool. We're almost there. So before I do anything else, I'm just going to do some manual tidying up. Let's get some nice curvature back in my nose. It's looking a little bit blocky, so I'm trying to get some nice curve in there. Because that's one thing I love about this character is the nose and its facial features and how fun and soft they can be. So I can go in there and finesse it later on as well. So, like I said before, I've got a bit of an issue with this area. It's not super clean. It can be better. There's a couple of different things we can do. Because this is in the corner of a nose here, we can do things like using the multi-cut tool to send edges in like that, which can be done. It's not the end of the world, it's just a little bit nasty to do. And depending on how you've built your nose or how you've built, the assets on the face, that's what you might actually need to do. You can just send around an edge going through the mouth as well, so if I put another one in there, I can just connect that straight up like that. That's a lot cleaner, but it means I'm going to have to then go in there and re-regulate this area. And maybe that's not what I want to do. So I've got to choose, what I want to do. Maybe I go in there and rebuild this whole area again. Maybe I just send this edge. So instead of having a triangle here, I'll just send an edge into the middle of that disc. So it then becomes a 7-sided disc, which isn't bad. It's only a nose, it's only a nostril, so having that there isn't a problem at all. Cool, so all that's left is the underside of the nose, the philtrum area. Now again, this is where I can spend a bit of time just thinking, how can I fix up this area? How can I combat anything? So what I'm going to do is just send from the very middle edge down to there, like that. So then counting what I've got left behind, I've got 2 edges here, an edge there, an edge there. So I think what I might do is add an edge in here, and then that can be basically a joining point between them two there. And then all that's left for me to do, you can see there now that I've got this 6-sided shape, if I put a cut down here, I can just bridge from side to side. Like that. You can see there now, bridge from there to there, from there to there. Like that. If I'm not particularly happy with that, I could shift these off to the side, bring an edge down into my lips like that. But again, what I'm doing is creating more mass up here than I really want. I could bring these in, do some redirection. I could do a lot of things. One thing I'm going to do though with the nostril itself is just grab the nostril and I'm just going to extrude it up a little bit. Extrude it in, extrude it up. Just so I've got an actual interior of my nose. Because even on the low poly characters, there's no excuse for not having an inside ear nostril, even if it's a very, very basic. And I'm just adding that extra little edge in there just to get away from these harsh edges. And then that is the nose attached. From there, it's just using our, well, I would advise using our lovely sculpting tools just to finesse, move, smooth. So I can do the relax tool a little bit. Oh, make sure I'm on. So combine, merge, symmetry. Yep. Always make sure if you're doing sculpting tools to have object X symmetry on. There we go. So I can just nudge stuff around. Using the move tool, set to face center normal, I should say. And then just move stuff around. This is really, because this is almost like inflating the nose, inflating the features. Then I can use that to get the shape of the nose a lot nicer. And all that's left to do now, finally, is the mouth. Now I'm going to combine and merge. I'm going to leave this combine and merge now for this. Because what I want to do is more easily done if it was one big solid piece. Now this is really, really easy to do. Because again, all our edge flow is already there. So if I just turn this off, there you go. So all my whole shape's here already. And all I'm going to do, I'm not going to close the mouth, but all I'm going to do is make very, very basic lips and then just add a couple of divisions and then we're good. So what I'm going to do straight away is just extrude in just a little bit. I'm going to use my reference to try and like here to try and get the position nice there. And then I'm just going to scale it in a little bit. So I'm not extruding there, I'm just scaling. So I've done that one extrusion, then I'm just scaling in. So now I've basically got the shape, the mass of my lips are already there. Now, again, I could go through and try to move individual vertexes around, which is perfectly reasonable to do, nothing wrong with doing that. But if I just scale everything a little bit flat at first, so I'm not doing it super, super flat, so you can see there, I'm just scaling it so it flattens out a little bit. I'm not going super flat, because that doesn't work. Scaling a little bit. And then I'm just going to move them both backwards, like that. So now you can see that the shape is quite nice, but it's very flat. You can see there, it's not really fitting to the reference too much. But one thing I can also do is just adjust to the reference a little bit more if I need to. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is just add one division, like that. And then use the transform tool here in Edit Mesh Transform and drag forward in the blue axis. Just to give my shape and mouth. That's looking okay, but not necessarily super awesome. So I'm going to add that as two edges instead. Edit Mesh Transform. Much nicer. So it's really nice and low poly, but it gives me enough information that I can start to fill out them lips. And I'm just being a bit careful as well, because as I brought them forward, you can see the corners of the mouth are starting to come forward as well. But I don't want that because that looks weird. So again, all I'm going to do is grab individual vertex, move them back inside. This section here, it's coming a little bit too far forward, so let's bring that in a little bit. Bring that in a little bit. Bring that in a little bit. So you see there, nice and basic. Always moving around the mesh to see if I'm doing something I don't like. And you can see there I am actually doing something that I need to change. This vertex here is creating a bit of a weird edge here, so I'm going to just pull it back slightly. See what it's like. It's looking okay. I'm not working symmetrically here, so make sure I dupe special. Oh, see how it's working there? It's looking alright. I can keep finessing and moving around and fixing that as much as I can. And the lips are something that's quite important to make sure we get right, because they can easily, if the lips look wrong, it can easily destroy your face. So you want to make sure that these are looking as nice as we can. Looking at the way that lips wrap around the face and the way that some lips wrap underneath and some lips wrap over the top of other lips. And we are very close to finishing our character now. So I'm getting a bit of a graphical defect here. This isn't anything that I've done, or if you get the same kind of issue, this could literally just be Maya being funny. So just a bit of aside before you actually finish off the face. So yeah, we've got a bit of a graphical issue. There's a couple of different ways we can try and fix this. One way, and they're all mainly up in mesh display up here. One way is just coming down to unlock normals. Now, unlock normals sometimes has, well, normals are the direction in which faces are facing. Sometimes has issues. Sometimes it'll lock polygons in place and they won't work properly. So that one hasn't worked. Another common one is conform. So if I click conform, so this would have worked if some of these faces were actually facing the opposite direction, because conform basically looks over the entire mesh. It sees, well, a majority of the faces are facing in this direction. I'm going to flip them all to be in that direction. So a number of different things we can do now. One of them is just reapplying a standard Lambert to this. So come back down to assign existing, apply number one. It hasn't done it. So we've got a bit of a head scratcher here now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually close down Maya, save, close it down, reopen it, and see what happens. So sometimes the issue is just something we can't necessarily diagnose, and we just need to save it, close it, reopen it. So we're back in a second. So I've looked through and I can't actually find out what the issue is here. This is probably down to my own system. My own system is getting a little bit old, so it's getting a little bit. This is probably just an issue with my system. So I would not worry. I've never seen this happen on any of your systems. So yes, finishing off with the head. It's just the inside of the mouth now, and an easy way of doing this is just selecting all the edges on the inside of the mouth and then just counting how many we've got. Now I have this feature up here where I'm able to see all the information in the scene. You can also get this by going to display, heads up display, and then poly count. I can just manually count them. I would count half, so what's going on this side, so then just double it. So it'll be 8 on one side, 8 on the other. So make an make a 16-sided sphere. So 16 by 16. To be honest, the length of the sphere can probably be a lot less than that. So something like that, maybe. Very low poly. Just rotate around so it's facing, so the pole is facing in the same direction as the head, because that's where we're going to be attaching the mouth to. And we do the same thing for the eyeballs as well. Just take away that end face like that. Squash it down a little bit. Squeeze down a little bit like that, and then reverse the faces like that. Now we're doing this because this is the inside of the mouth, so the head's going to be wrapping around, so the inside should be facing downwards. And all I'm going to do is place it behind the mouth, obviously shrink it down, place it behind the mouth in a nice comfortable area. We don't want it too big or too small. Like that. Just combine that. So I've just combined it, and I'm just going to merge it in with the head. Well, first actually what I'm going to do, not necessarily merge it straight away. I'm going to just extrude back a little bit of lip like that, first of all. That way we have thickness to the lip. So we're not just going for a right angle straight up into the thing, straight up into the mouth bag. We've just got a little bit of surface area there that acts like the thickness of our lip. And then I can bridge it to there. Now, I'm happy that happened actually, because the bridging has decided to act a certain way. As you can see here, it's trying to twist. Now, what I can do here is actually offset this and keep rotating it around until the two top edges are aligning with the two bottom edges. So I go back, hit bridge. It's going to do that. And then if I just go to bridge offset, so clicking bridge offset and moving it around and around, you can see that I'm able to actually move it around. So all I'm going to do is just keep doing that until, boom, like that, it lines up perfectly. And I can add another edge loop in there if I want to, because I'm looking here, and if I'm not happy with how sharp this looks here across this edge, I could add another edge loop in there if I wanted to, but I don't think I need to. So now that is Terry's head done. Obviously, you're not going to have this, but that is Terry's head done. That's the ears, the eyes, the mouth, the nose, the little areas at the back of the head, and underneath the jaw. And we are fully done. You can see there is actually something very graphical going wrong with my system. Weirdness ensues. But nope, that's the mesh done. If you have any issues, obviously message me and we can sort them out. But this is pretty straightforward. Like I said, you've done most of the hard work already. After this, it's just creating the clothes, and then it's going to be creating the UVs, and I'm also going to be going into like creating the hair and stuff. Okay, cool. See you in a bit.